These are 11 reasons why I'd buy a home in Mexico, and watch till the end because I'm saving the biggest reason for last. Number one is that you're going to get a whole lot more home for your money here in Mexico than where you're coming from. Most of the viewers on this channel are from a major city in the US or in Canada, and if you're coming from one of those places and moving to Mexico, well, your money is going to go a whole heck of a lot further here and buy you a way nicer home than what you can spend the same amount of money on where you're from. Number two is the ultra low property taxes here. For every $100,000 of value of your home, you can assume you'll be paying about $100 per year in property tax. So a $300,000 home, $300 per year in property tax. However, if you pay early, you might get a 20% discount. If you're of retirement age, you might get a 50% discount. And if you don't pay it all and pay late, well, here where I'm living in Querétaro, if you waited until December to pay, well, they gave you a 90% discount on your property tax. Number three is the opportunity for customization. Now, if you're renting a home in Mexico, and you want to change something about it, well, you might be able to do that, you might not, and if you are able to do that, well, it's likely going to be at your own expense, and you don't get to reap the benefits of that for years into the future, only as long as you're renting the house. Whereas if you own the home, you get the benefits of that forever. Number four is that it reduces your risk of running out of money. For example, let's say you're a retiree coming to Mexico on a fixed income like a Social Security or a pension, and you're renting. Well, you're subject to any changes in that rental market. And while many rental markets are pretty stable around Mexico, there are some that are very unstable. For example, in Puerto Vallarta, we've seen rents double in a matter of 4 years. And if you're renting and your rents double in 4 years, well, that's seriously going to affect your quality of life when living here in Mexico. But having bought your home, you don't have to deal with that. By the way, none of this is financial advice, it's simply the way that I see things. Number five is international diversification. Now, financial advisors talk a lot about asset diversification. However, they'll put all of your money into one country, and I think that's generally a very bad idea, because what if something bad happens with that country? Well, then it would be great to be internationally diversified. And having purchased a home in Mexico, well, that takes some of your assets out of your home country and moves it into another country, which I think is a good thing for your portfolio. The sixth reason for buying a home in Mexico is the opportunity to lower your electric bills to almost nothing. This probably isn't going to apply to you if you're moving to central Mexico in the highlands where the temperatures are very moderate because you don't really need heating or air conditioning in a lot of these places. However, if you're moving to a beach destination or a place that's hotter, well, then it could be very important for you to buy a home so you can put solar panels on the house to lower your electric bill to almost nothing. A lot of homeowners do this across Mexico because in these beach destinations, your electric bills can get super high, but you just throw a few solar panels on there, you connect that to the grid, it's really easy to do, and they lower their electric bills to almost zero. We have just a few left before we get to the biggest reason on this list, but if you're liking this video, please subscribe to the channel. You can do so for free with the click of a button. The seventh reason for buying a home in Mexico is a sense of security. For a lot of people, buying a home isn't such a financial decision, but it's more so a decision about life. What's going to bring the greatest comfort and peace and relaxation to your life? Because owning a home instead of renting may help you sleep better at night, and a lot of times that isn't something that should be overlooked. The eighth reason to buy a home in Mexico is to fulfill a dream. There's a lot of people who have traveled to Mexico and loved it so much that they swore to themselves before they died they were going to buy a home in Mexico and move here. Well, if that's your dream, I think we should chase our dreams, so go ahead and fulfill that dream. I think that's a very good reason to buy a home in Mexico. The next reason for buying a home in Mexico is as a plan B. Let's say you're in the US or Canada and shit hits the fan there and you want to get out of there and get somewhere else quickly. Well, Mexico is quick and easy to get to because it's just a short flight away. So having a home in Mexico could be a good insurance policy or a plan B in case something happens in your home country. Just ask the people in Ukraine if they would have liked to have a plan B in a nearby country should shit hit the fan in their country. Well, I'm guessing if they could afford it, they'd be happy to have that option. Number 10. So let's say you want to live in Mexico and you're choosing between buying and renting. Well, if you rent, there's exchange rate risk. So let's say you rent a home for $1,000 a month, but your rent is not denominated in dollars, it's denominated in pesos, so that'd be approximately 20,000 pesos. But let's say the exchange rate over the course of your contract goes from 20 to 1 to 40 to 1. Well, in that case, your rent goes down from $1,000 to $500. But when you're renting and your contract is in another currency, it can also work against you. So let's say it goes from 20 pesos to the dollar to 10 pesos to the dollar. Well, your rent just went from $1,000 to $2,000 a month. Well, if you're on a fixed income, that could seriously affect your quality of life in Mexico. And number 11, the biggest reason why I would purchase a home in Mexico is if we totally fell in love with a home and that particular home was not available for rent. Because as you'll see when you click on this video here, it almost always makes way more financial sense to rent in Mexico than to purchase. So click on that video next, the biggest reasons why I would not buy a home in Mexico.